It's too late now. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Angery American Nation podcast. There is nothing wrong with your TV. No, I am not Angery American. Chris is sick, under the weather, but we do have Emery and Sue, Donnie, and T will be joining us a little bit later, and we're just going to roll with it and see where this thing goes. Emery, how you been, brother? I haven't seen you in a minute.
I'm good. I'm glad to be back on. I missed you guys. Still missing 3 of our people, but I missed you guys. Good getting back to stuff. Well, Sue, how you doing, brother?
I'm trying to keep my my microphone on mute because my mother's bird keeps wanting to participate in this. Shut up, Eggbird.
If it ain't one thing, it's another.
I inherited from my mother was a stupid bird that doesn't want to shut up when I get on a cell phone or a computer.
It misses you. That's what it is. It misses you.
I'll put a stage
already
in the
knows
room.
the trick.
Right. Yeah. Throwing something at it.
I'll tell you what, it is a very beautiful bird.
Is it?
But he doesn't like me, so I don't. Yeah, it's a big old parrot.
Must be a racist bird.
But Russ, how's Russ doing? You know, you're for all the people. A lot of you guys know Russ know how much Russ does. Russ is super, super important to all of us at our varying amounts of connection to what's going on. But Russ, how you been, man? What's new with you?
Man, we've been doing good. We've been living the retired life down here in Florida since the 30th of December. We spent some time with Chris and Mel, and then we've been over here with the Robert Tucci's. Had our Return to Eden reader appreciation a couple weeks ago, had a blast, and we're going to be headed home on Monday. And I was blessed to be able to take Rosin's handgun mastery course, and that has really improved my shooting skills. You'd be proud of me. And, that's what we've been up to. And, training is training. You got to get training.
So, Russ, what's big handgun mastery? Like, if there's one thing that you're like, this is I am now going to really start.
For me, it was my grip. 100%. It was my grip. Due to the neuropathy I do have in my hand, I noticed that there are occasions when I would loosen my grip. I am more conscious of that, and I'm worried about that. That's what I concentrate on. That and a little bit of trigger control is the stuff that I really pulled away from it. And going out to the range, like Carl told us during combat pistol rifle carbine, you go there and you're firing your warm-up shots. That's what I concentrate on, making sure that grip is set every time, closing the jaws of the nutcracker, as Rosin put it. Yeah. And it applies across the board. It applies to the rifle as well.
Everything, yeah. When we do training, we always start with a pistol warm-up, like you're saying, and we tell people, hey, look, always start with your pistol because everything from here applies to here. It just, but the TPC methodology of explaining, understanding the principles, all that's a changer in, shooter gun action, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very well. Gear and guns. Thank you for being a first-time viewer. I am not Angery American. Chris is under the weather. He called out at the last minute. He's going to try to get in if he feels a little better, but we'll wait and see. So, Sue, what all have you been up to other than trying not to turn that bird into chicken wings?
Well, I put the bird away, but now I'm playing with this light because the puppy chewed up my other good light. And I'm hoping that I look like I'm in a cat house somewhere in Belgium or something, like Brussels, or I don't know.
It looks that seems vaguely familiar.
Would you spend money on me if I was sitting in the front window on the street there?
Not in Sachsenhausen.
Sue,
The
absolutely
stairs a lot
not.
higher.
What happened last time you were in Belgium?
When was the last
What happened to
time?
you last time in Belgium? Was it that one time you got drunk and woke up in the French Foreign Legion?
No. I went to Belgium after that, for God's sake. French Foreign Legion was in the 80s, man. That was a whole lifetime ago.
So,
I was alluding to.
Well, I can say that I'm trying to because of Emery and mine, our friend Byron Russell, he put me on a guilt trip, and I am trying to consolidate all those war stories and started writing a book. So, but my mental capacities are stuck in 1983 right now. So don't give me a hard time. And I did watch the State of the Union address last night, almost 2 hours, or right at 2 hours.
Right at 2 hours.
So
what was your?
Yeah,
go ahead, Sue.
No, I thought Trump did a very good job on it. I was absolutely aghast at the other side of the aisle that couldn't even stand up and clap for a little boy with brain surgery, or another young man getting a West Point acceptance letter, or what's wrong with these people? Are these the people that say everybody hates Trump so bad that they will cut off their nose to spite their face? I mean,
exactly. That's Teresa and I watched it with Pete and Melissa last night, and I 100% agree with you. That's what I gathered from it as well. And before I go on with that, I'm going to bring Donnie in. Donnie's finally made it home.
Hey,
welcome, Donnie.
What's up?
What you been? We're just starting to talk about the presidential address.
Oh, last night? Oh God, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, but yeah, we did too. But before you get into what have you been up to? Tell the folks out there in Angry Land what you've been up to.
Just been working a lot. Had some stuff this afternoon. That's why I'm late, and I apologize. Glad to be back here. Got to have surgery next week. So I'm going to have neck surgery. I'm going to be in a neck brace for 6 weeks. So go have all your fun with that. I'm trying to sell advertising space on the neck brace. I'm going to put lights on it, little speakers, like NASCAR. No, it's a pretty serious surgery. So it's been working.
What you're saying is you won't be making gas money at the truck stop no more.
That's a side gig. Yeah. So Sue had just mentioned, Donnie, about
Donnie.
the.
I hope that goes smooth.
Yeah, me too, man. So my arm's been atrophied. Of course, my trigger finger's been numb for about a year, and I have to eat like a heathen. If I try to hold a fork, I shake. So I've been eating like this, but I've been eating like a Israeli commando. You guys hear me?
Hummus.
Well, I tell you, Sue had just mentioned, about the response of the left in regards to last night's presidential address, and it was absolutely appalling.
It was a disgrace, man. It was a disgrace. How do you not applaud for a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer who's been, and they're sour. Look, I don't want to be rude, but just look at those people, dude. They're like, like all of them, dude.
Well, and when Trump, after the first 15 minutes of allocates upon himself, he got down to business, and he looked over to the side, the Democratic side, and he goes, I could come up with a cure for cancer. I could solve all the world's economic problems, and these people right over here on the left still would not applaud for me. And he goes, but that's okay.
Trump derangement syndrome. Listen, I have it with
it's a mental illness.
It's real because people that I'm friends with, I mean, we try to put politics to the side because we're friends, but they are so programmed to hate this guy no matter what he does. It's a real thing. Like, it's a psychological condition. They hate him, and he's doing things that everybody was always, clean up the government, control waste, all the things people said they wanted, but he's doing it. Now they're all about World War III, and they were anti-war before. It doesn't matter what the man does, so he might as well give him the big thumb, the middle finger.
And he did that a couple times last night. I think by far my favorite quote from last night was when he was talking about immigration. He was sitting there talking about immigration, and he said the people on the left, the Democrats, they said we need more immigration laws, need more immigration laws, need newer laws, need newer laws. And he paused and he said, but what I guess we really needed was a new president. And it was just an absolute mic drop moment.
That was the one-liner of the night. That for sure.
It definitely was.
I have to agree. I know there's hundreds of thousands of people in the military that work hard and risk their life every day. But overall, for government agencies, I've never found any government worker to be above and beyond. I've never had a great experience with a federal government worker as compared to I have with private sector workers and certain, and sometimes some state workers. I'm not saying there's not people that work hard, but there's a whole lot of fat, a whole lot of people just set in their ways and they're secure. I work for the government. We got to change that. We have to make drastic changes. Otherwise, this country is in serious trouble. I mean, we're already in trouble. We've been in trouble for a long time, and it's painful, and they're going to fight him, and he knew they were going to fight him. But dude, he is a blitzkrieg. I am the blitzkrieg. He is, and
he really is. They are having such a hard time keeping up with him that's why they're losing their mind even more. I mean, they say one thing, by that time he's already done 2 steps ahead of that. What are your thoughts on that, Sue?
I totally agree. I mean, he is every time that I get into thinking like what Elon's doing with Doge, or I hear about one of his new executive orders, he's already down the road 3 or 4 by the time I've even processed it. So
yeah, exactly.
Every time the Democrats come out swinging, he's already on the other side of the ring.
Yeah, I say that about Al Green. What an idiot! The greasy, nasty Rick James looking with your cane like a pimp, just grandstanding, dude. What an idiot!
Absolutely. Now he says he's going to start articles of impeachment against Trump.
Dude.
Well,
been there, done that.
It's going to be hard to do that when you're getting censored.
Yeah, been there, done that.
So,
yeah, good luck.
And folks in the comments, I'm going to apologize up front. I will try and catch them, but right now I don't have anybody like me to catch them in the background. So I will try and go through them as I can and try to star some, and we'll get back to them as soon as we can. So I've caught a bunch of them. We have a ton of people in the house tonight, and we'll see how long they last. Excuse me. So let's see, what else did he talk about last night that piqued your guys' interest? Sue, I'll let you go first on that one, then we'll get it down to Donnie.
Well, I think the biggest thing that resonated with me last night was that he's pretty much picked a good team that sits right in front of him, and he's referring to them by first name. I think Trump was actually comfortable. We got to remember, this is his 5th, count them 5, State of the Union addresses, and he's the first president to give two first term addresses, to the public like this. The State of the Union address wasn't broadcast like this until Woodrow Wilson. Most of the State of the Union addresses before Woodrow Wilson were done by letter. But for him to be comfortable in front of everybody, even with half of the chamber being so loathsome and hateful towards him, I think he was just having fun with it. I think he was really just poking the bear and just with their little paddle cards and stuff up there. They made themselves look very immature, and he took it and ran with it. President Trump's enjoying himself in this.
I think he is too, and I'll agree. Now we know that speech was written by someone, but they wrote it to his persona, and there were several times during that speech that I caught what I would consider an ad lib, that he would just throw something a little extra in or something like that, and those moments were well worth it.
Yeah, he stepped away from the teleprompter a few times. Yeah,
he did, and to me that makes him, for lack of a way of putting it, more real to the average American Joe. That he's not just sitting up there. He's not all hopped up on the freaking meds to make him focus, and he doesn't have to have 6 weeks of prep, at Camp David prior to doing this. The man had been up probably since 3 a.m, and he was rocking and rolling with it until, well, we would have been at midnight. I'm sure he didn't go to bed till after that. So what about you, Donnie? What was your biggest takeaway from that?
Going just people in general, I've watched politics have always been polarizing, and I've read some books recently, on the time of the revolution. And I mean, politics were crazy then. There was newspapers controlled by politicians, and there was duels in the street. So it's always been polarizing. But what I'm seeing now is some kind of psychosis with people, that they are dangerous. They are so hateful. There's no reasoning with them. They're like the Terminator. You can't reason with them. You can't talk to them. They absolutely hate what's going on, and they hate you for anything you say. They jump on you, and they've done that for a long time, but they're slowly starting to run out of material. They're slowly starting to run out of stuff. They shift it to Elon Musk. You think this guy needs this? I mean, he's the richest man by far in the world, but it doesn't matter. You can't reason with them. They have been programmed with so much hate that you just got to put your guard up, man. You can't reason with them. You can't talk to them. It's horrible. Now, reasonable people would watch that speech and go, yeah, typical Trump. But after all these years, you could look past the bravado and that he does, and to say, fundamentally at his core, a man cares about the country. Is that Chris? No. Fundamentally at his core, he wants to make this country better. He wants to leave his legacy. And listen, did anybody think this was going to be easy? Do you think they were just going to loosen their grip? Look at what they found so far. It's 6 weeks, people. 6 weeks. I mean, and look what's happened. Think what's going to happen. So guard yourself. Don't try to convince people. And what I took from the speech last night is a man in control. You could say it. You could say he's petty and whatnot, but we're all petty. Somebody's a dick to us for years, and we got the opportunity. We're gonna be like, you know what I mean? But you're right. I think he's having fun with it, Russ. I think you hit the nail on the head, and you too, Sid.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put this comment up here. One's from Patrick 7, and see what you guys think about this one. Trump is using the left playbook against them. Is information overload. By the time they respond to one thing, he's got something else coming, and everyone stops paying attention. Has jingling keys. He's jingling keys. Absolutely. The left is like a freaking cat chasing a laser. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. And I think
let's be honest here, people. All Trump is doing in all these barrage of executive orders is trying to return to common sense. Common sense. I mean, two genders.
It's
right?
been
getting males
short
out of female sports. I mean, everything's pretty much common sense. And over the last administration, and then the 8 years that we had to put up with the slow lean to the left during the Obama administration, Trump is just trying to take that back a notch and go back to the way we were all raised, with a little bit of common sense. Don't overspend. Don't try to push your what do you call it, your fetishes into somebody else's reality, and just be happy and look for pursuing the American dream, right? And even today, in the Supreme Court's decision, that turned U.S. aid back on a little bit, $2 billion. I'm just surprised that two Trump not Trump, both of them weren't Trump appointees, but two right of the aisle Supreme Court justices sided against Elon Musk and Trump to shut down U.S. aid.
Yeah, I talked about that with Pete earlier today, and the $2 billion was put out to pay the contractors for work that had already been done. Mm-hmm. Don't know what the work is. Don't know what it was. But if it's for the work that was already done, okay, I can understand that to a certain extent. But I do agree with you. You would have thought those justices would have gone to Trump's side.
Well, there's also some Fruit Loop justices on there. I mean, think about it. If you take into consideration Obama in his 8 years of hell, then Trump was elected, but they still controlled the House and the Senate. And then, this idiocracy that was Biden. I mean, that's 16 years, and he's dismantling this or putting the seeds in place to dismantle it in 6 weeks. That's unprecedented in our history that I can think of. I mean, that is monumental. And, I think years from now, the history books will record what he's saying. I know, there's bravado and he's an ego, blah, 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 but he's consistent in his message, and the man is making it happen. I think he learned from his first term, and I think he even said it. I watched an interview with him and Sean Ryan. He's like, I learned a lot of lessons my first, and it's going to be a totally different ballgame. And I think we're seeing it, and they're losing their minds, but there's really not much they can do about it, because the American people have legally spoken, and the majority of common sense, hardworking, normal Americans want this all to go away. They are so sick of DEI. They're so sick. I mean, you can't even watch, like, I'm a big Star Trek nerd. I can't even watch it anymore. It's just retarded. Disney's retarded. Everything's retarded because of this DEI stuff. Look, if you're transgender, that's really totally cool. I don't care if you're gay and you want to get married. Good on you. I'll hang out. We have dinner. And most people don't care. We're not homophobes and all the things they say we are, but we don't want it shoved down our throat. We don't want transvestite men who are just physically stronger than women competing. I mean, that's just retarded, and he's fixing that.
Well, and yeah, exactly. And Sue had mentioned it as well. The women in sports, you had all of these Democratic women wearing pink for solidarity for women, yet every last one of them voted against outlawing men in women's sports. Okay, number one, hypocrite much? Okay, number two, and I don't know if either of you caught the video. It was up in Maine. There was a biological male playing in a women's high school basketball, and two of the young ladies got hurt, and they ended up forfeiting the game so that no more would get hurt. And that's ridiculous. I mean, the guy was tossing him around like a rag doll. And even last night, Trump just said that some biologically male athlete in a women's sport just set a new world record by 5 hours. I was like, what? And guys, just an update real quick. Emery lost his internet, and so he will not be returning. Hopefully he'll have better internet next time, and we'll get him back on. But let's see here. Let me look at the comments real quick here, fellas. Kelly Mercer, I agree with you 100% on this. Not my president is total bullshit. If you're a citizen, then he is your president. Maybe not your choice, but he's still your president. all of us detested Biden,
but he was our president.
He was still our president. And Sue, you and I were both in the military during the Clinton administration, and we weren't too happy about that, but we still had to, shut up and color, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah. And come on, let's be honest. This left-wing agenda has been slowly punching at it. It's been giving us gut punches for 40 years. I mean, Russ, we can remember when Senator Pat Schroeder from Colorado was forcing all kinds of social engineering and experiments on the military. And they took away push ball and said you had to play flag football from now on. And, you couldn't use a real football. You had to use a Nerf ball. And they've been basically trying to, emasculate masculinity for 40 years now. And then, then, like you said, all those Democratic women wearing pink last night, they're not standing up for women. They're not standing up for women. I mean, that's just dead wrong. How can you say that?
They don't care, Sue.
I have a 30-year-old daughter. I wouldn't want her to box or run or swim against any man. Period. That's yeah. I know she's already at the disadvantage, and she's you've met her. She's Hannah. She's very much in shape and very, very strong, but she's not going to win against a man. It's just that simple.
Exactly right. And, let's see, Patrick had another good comment here. He says he has a trans person on one of the work crews that he runs, but they're not part of the Rainbow Mafia. They're one of the hardest working workers I have. And don't push it on the kids. Don't shove it down my throat.
Who cares?
My
daughter's a lesbian.
Again.
Who cares?
Yep.
I don't care. I just told her to adopt one day. She's like, I thought you'd be mad, Dad. I'm like, I'm not mad. Just adopt. I want grandbabies. People just don't care like they say we do. We just don't need it shoved in our face. We don't need anybody to get special treatment. I mean, it's just common sense. We can bang this drum over and over. I think most of the fine folks here understand that, but I think there's a financial. Do you think any of these people care about trans people at all? I mean, honestly, God, do you really think they do? They care about enriching their pockets and getting rich because they send money through this system. Somebody gets $2 billion and 50 million, 100 million gets back through the chain, untraceable chain back to them. That's why they're all rich. Look at how's AOC rich? I mean, she has the IQ of a walnut. Like, how is she rich? Now she's rich.
Man, what do you have against walnuts? I mean,
good point.
I mean, they say that ostrich's brain eyeballs is bigger than its brain, and I agree that is to the same with AOC. It's just there's no way she should have that much money in that short a period of time, and it's mind blowing. I can't wait for the day that they will start naming names and start bringing people out on cuffs. What I had said previously, a couple of weeks ago on Pete's podcast was when we found out this presidential address was going to happen. It would have been awesome if about halfway through it, after they'd had their little fun on this other side, he just walked in a bunch of FBI and Secret Service agents, cuffed a bunch of them, and walked them out. With the ones that were like on the Epstein list or on the Diddy list or something like that. I mean, it would have been classic. It'd have been political grandstanding, yes, but it would have been so well worth it.
They're not that. What they're really scared of is Musk. Look how they demon. They're not. They're scared of Trump, but that's the devil they know. This he's a mega genius. I mean, God sent him to Earth to save the human race. I truly believe that. You can say whatever you want. He's got all these kids and blah, blah, blah. The dude they're scared to death of him because he's going to find out the shit on them. And when he does, there's going to be hell to pay. And that's what they're scared of, in my opinion.
And I can add to that. I can add to that, Donnie. Where the Democrats what they're really scared of, and what they're they're really messing up is when they're trying to tell, like the Department of Education, schools and everything like that, they're trying to tell parents, we know better than you about your kids. Or if your kids feel transgender, then they don't need to talk to you. They can, we don't have to report that to you, and we can send them down that road or whatever. When you start messing with people's kids, those are fighting words. That's when people lock and load and they get ready to defend hard. And they lost a whole bunch of votes, and they lost a whole bunch of women on that. Right. So you go back to the transgender issue. You're exactly right. They don't really care about transgenders either, but they don't care about women or mothers or parents either. And when you start messing with the nuclear family, then things are going to start falling apart for them. And I think that's what they're scared of. And that's why they wanted all these immigrants to stay here. And they broke all those immigrants up. And that's why 350,000 children of these immigrants are unaccounted for. They don't know where they're at. These are all broken families, but they're hoping that they all get to register to vote someday and they keep them in power.
Bingo.
I don't see how any Democrat is going to win in 2026. I don't see how it's going to happen.
But they didn't get the memo because we in charge now. I'm kidding.
Yeah, and I tell you, and after last night, I don't see how an American that truly believes in America could vote any of those Democrats that are coming up for re-election in 2026. I don't see how they can be voted back in.
Trump is right.
They are. And there are a lot of them. And I have a lot of friends that are like you, Donnie, that are on the left side of the aisle. And sometimes we agree to disagree. And sometimes I just have to just ignore them. But we just do what we had to do. We keep doing what we do. We keep trying to educate our folks into getting good training, to getting, community. Sue, I know that's one of your big words there, community, keeping that community together. And speaking of community, guys, T hasn't made it in yet. Don't know if he's going to make it, but I'm going to go ahead and pop this up real quick. Guys, if you have not signed up to come to Mountain Readiness yet, you need to go ahead and scan that QR code. Join us. Sue, I believe you're going to be there. Donnie, I know you're planning on being there. Good Lord willing. I know Angery American and Angry Mel will be there. We got a whole bunch of folks going to be there. Got a lot of great instructors, tactical riflemen, Jax Janega. There's like 50. I think T said 50 instructors and like over 100 classes a day. Alan K will be there as well. So, guys, once again, if you haven't already gotten your tickets, go ahead and grab those.
Be
tickets.
there or be square, because it's a good time. I mean, just imagine
a
group of hundreds and hundreds of people that are all cool. Like there's, nobody's sacrificing a goat to Trump. Nobody's, raising a racist flag. None of that goes. Just good, nice, informative people that will help you, give you the shirt off their back. Lots of cool stuff. I mean, everybody was great. Like, I wouldn't miss it for the world. I might be in a neck brace there, but I'll be there.
Well, we'll slow you down a little bit.
Right. Well, Charlie Williams and I have had a contract come up. I'm hoping to be there, but if I'm not, I'm there in spirit. I'll be teaching tracking to the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Hopefully,
on tracking.
Hopefully, and it actually pays. So I'm going to have to go do that.
Oh,
but
that's right.
I'm hoping that we can get some constitutional scholars to show up to Mountain Readiness, because my pet peeve, and I don't do a whole lot of social media, and if I did, I wouldn't get anything done, because I get irritated so bad on a simple app like LinkedIn. When people start defending Canada or defending Mexico and saying, oh, well, I know the Constitution and I swore an oath to the Constitution. And Russ, you and I are both in the military. We've actually read the Constitution before we swore to it, right? And I want to, I got on that LinkedIn and I told that guy that was defending Canada that, he's saying Trump was being unconstitutional and everything. And I said, hey, before you start spouting off about the Constitution, Why don't you read Article 2, Section 1 and 2 and 3 and tell me if Trump has the right to impose those tariffs? And it just these people are so stupid, and they make themselves look stupid, but nobody ever calls them out on it. So I hope the people the people in our audience and the people going to Mountain Readiness understand that you're doing all this training for a reason, and you're trying to do that self-sustaining community for a reason. That Constitution has the answers in it, and we need to defend it, but we also need to learn and study what's in it and not accept somebody's misinterpretation of it. Does that make sense?
Oh,
yeah. Well, my lovely bride just posted over there in comments that Suzanne Sherman is going to be doing a class on the Constitution and constitutional law at Mountain Readiness. And if you've not listened to Suzanne Sherman's podcast over at Red Hot Chili Prepper, she gets into the weeds with some stuff like that. Let's see what else we got. Bob Lester, I see you're doing another live tissue lab in Ohio on the end of March. Is the same rules of engagement apply to that as was the last one? Before I say any more about it, if you can answer that for me real quick, Bob. And guys, the comments are scrolling by tonight. I don't know. I'm trying my best to keep up.
Hey, Russ, what do you guys think? And Sue, what do you think about this badass vice president we got? I mean, he's no wallflower, dude. This guy's. I like him. I really do.
Yeah, I'm digging JD. He tells it like it is, and that's what we need. We need to tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
What have you guys noticed mostly about JD Vance as a vice president?
He's active. He's active. I mean, I noticed he's active. He's way more active.
Yes,
family.
Exactly. Donnie hit it on the head. He's engaged. Totally. Most vice presidents, you don't ever hear about him, maybe once a quarter, maybe once a month at the most, right? You hear about JD Vance every single day. Yeah, and he was awesome against
Zelensky. He's like, shut the beep up.
And then he was at the State of the Union address last night. And where did you see him today? He's on the border.
Yep.
The guy's busy as hell, and he's engaged. And
he is.
I think he's amazing.
He'll be the next president. You want.
And OP, I'm reading as fast as my South Carolina public education will allow. So you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, we are prime examples of why we should defund the Department of Education.
Absolutely.
I got a Kentucky education. That's even worse.
Hey, the only reason we speak this good is because we passed the ASFAB.
Yeah. Yeah. And self-learning. Yeah.
Yes, it's self-learning. Exactly. Well, let's see here. Guys, real quick, the Dalton is going fast. We're down to, I think, 7. So if you haven't gotten the Dalton, go ahead and scan that QR code and grab a Dalton. It's a pretty cool knife, and we're looking at see where we're going to go next. Chris mentioned a little bit of it last night on the Patreon, so I'm not going to divulge that too much. But guys, if you get a chance, go ahead and grab one if you haven't already grabbed it. I know Diana Rogers grabbed one, and her son now wants to steal it from her. So don't do that now.
Wait till you see my design for the Thad. I've been working extra hard on that one. That's going to be a bad boy.
And let's see here. Will wants to know, Sue, how the recovery is still going over in your area.
It's going surprisingly slow, to be honest with you. Little liberal cities like Asheville still have a bunch of trash and debris inside the Swannanoa River banks and the French Lick. I thought all those trees down, especially over in the northern county. Remember, 25 counties were heavily affected by this, and I thought all those trees down that they would use those, especially the hardwoods, to kind of rejuvenize the furniture making industry in that area, and nobody's even mentioned it. It almost pains me to see that everything's being put into wood chippers, and they have a mountain mulch. They're on the banks of the French Broad now in Asheville, and that's just kind of sad. Most of the people that are rebuilding are pretty much doing it on their own, or their private charities are coming in and helping them. I still haven't seen a whole lot of the federal government coming in or even funding things. I did see some fraud, waste, and abuse that if I got the chance to sit down with Doge or any one of his his nerd team, I would tell them, hey, right over here in Canton, North Carolina, they built basically a housing area for people who had lost their homes and everything. And they put trailers and everything on them. Not one family moved in there, not one. And 2 weeks later, the whole place was empty. So who got all that money? Who got all that money that the previous administration gave to FEMA and gave to people like that? And it's a racket in itself too. They got these big companies that come in, set up these camps. Those camps are mainly for the first, the linemen, first responders, National Guard, and things like that. They're not really for the victims of any floods or hurricanes. And I think people need to be aware of that. That money is not going to stay in the community. If we really wanted to help out Western North Carolina or Los Angeles after the fires, what we need to do is engage in the community and keep the money there, get the small businesses up again, and try to make sure that money, any kind of stays within the community, just not paying people from out of state a high wage so they can take it home and use it in their own communities. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess I think I saw an X earlier this week or late last week that you mentioned the wildfires over in California. Newsom's already gone back on his word in regards to the water rights and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. South Carolina just recently got hit with some forest fires over the weekend. And you had people on X saying, well, where's the governor now? And why is, Nancy Mace on vacation and Trump's down in Mar-a-Lago? But you know what? The governor was there. He was doing his job. I don't always agree with everything that McMaster's does, but they were doing their job. They had it taken care of. That's what's supposed to happen. And then if we need federal help, we ask for it. And then if we had asked for it, I'm sure we would have gotten it fairly quick.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, and just to remind people,
just came back in.
Just to remind people, whether it's Western North Carolina or Los Angeles, who actually showed up even before they took office and was asking the people what they needed, And I'm sure he hasn't forgotten. President Trump was there. He was here in Western North Carolina twice before the election, right?
Yep.
One time afterwards, and he went to L.A. Now that's another thing that kind of hit me like a brick in the head last night during the State of the Union. Where was that hostage from Russia from? Butler, Pennsylvania.
Butler, PA. Yeah.
Yeah, and his mother had talked to candidate Trump before he got up there on stage. And she said, if you win the election, I need you to help me get my son home, right? He gets up on that stage.
Yeah.
Gets his ear pierced by a bullet, right? But he didn't forget what that woman asked for. And I had forgotten all about the guy. I'd forgotten all about him until he was actually home. And I was like, oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
22 days later, 22 days after assuming office.
Yeah. He's been sitting in Russia for how long waiting for somebody to help him? That's incredible.
At what point?
Yeah, but they can get the basketball player out, the women's basketball player out, no problem.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
At what point where these people start to realize all the mountains of negativity, all the way to getting shot, to getting prosecuted with some bullshit, all the things he's overcome and came back and won the presidency? You might want to just give the guy a little space, man. Something's going on there. I believe it's our Lord has given this guy the opportunity to fix stuff. Now, you don't have to believe that. I do. But no matter what you believe, you got to look back and go, wow, this guy's a force of nature. And maybe we should get past the bravado and all the crap maybe listen, and maybe we could all work together. Now, I know it sounds like have a Coke and a smile, but wouldn't it be nice that like some people would come over and I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I grew up in a little suburb before we moved up to where I currently live, where I bought my parents' house, and everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood, and the parents, it didn't matter whose parents it was. If you needed your butt whipped, you got your butt whipped. And, but nowadays, if you're living in a suburb, you're lucky if you know your next door neighbor, much less people on the next road over.
That's true. Very true.
And that's where we need to get back to, in my opinion, that neighborhood, that community.
Yeah, but people just don't go outside anymore. I don't know what the deal is. Like you said, Russ, I grew up in a lower middle class neighborhood as a kid. I knew all the people on the street. My parents knew them. Like everybody knew everybody. And I couldn't name one of my neighbors here, and I've been here for almost 5 years. Try to be nice to them. Hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. Like, hey, and they go away like they run.
Yeah, it's just amazing, man. And now now I live out in the boonies, so I don't have neighbors, which I really really enjoy.
Well, I lived in a small town in West Texas when I was in high school, and we're talking in the 70s and 80s. And what irritated me about living in a small town in West Texas is if I was pulling one of my pranks or, getting in trouble, my parents usually knew about it before I got home.
Exactly.
That little log pole telegraph.
Well, you had a party line, didn't you, Sue?
Yeah.
You didn't know who was talking. Had a party line telephone.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
we're showing our age, Sue.
I always tried to listen to my cousin talking to her boyfriends. That was.
Hey Sue, remember the corded phone? Didn't you know exactly how far it would go, where you could sit to get privacy? We all knew that.
Yep.
And there's some Guns and Gear and Guns. He says they live in a small town in southeastern Texas.
Very cool.
And Ohio guy has a question for you, Sue. Ohio guy, go ahead and post up your question. And have no idea who that is, but we'll figure it out. And Mama Gnome says she remembers the party lines. So, Ohio guy, what is your question for Sue? Going once. Oh, let's see. Well, Mike from FIB says he will be at Mountain Readiness, but he's not bringing his the crazy one. That's his words, not mine. She forgot. I told her it was her birthday weekend. So, oh Lord, that's something we definitely don't want to see, Mike. We do not need to see Corey in his Ranger panties.
Oh,
so
it's going to be interesting. I hope the weather.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, though, since Mike did broach the subject, Corey in Ranger panties, he looks more like capris. Looks more like he's wearing capris. So,
you guys.
Oh,
I would gladly wear my Ranger panties if I was 20 years younger, but now I look like the laundry that just fell out of a duffel bag. So I don't know.
Well, Sue, I'm going to post up Ohio guys' question, and obviously you must know this gentleman.
Ohio guy? No, my first son is going to be born next week. I want you to be there. Can you make it? Unless that's Jeff's Matt's younger son, Colton. I don't know if I know the guy. I'm trying to think of who that could be.
Okay, Ohio guy. Yeah, either you can send a PM to Angery American Russ at AngeryAmerican.com, and we'll get the information over to Sue, or you can unveil yourself like you're on the Masked Singer and let us know who you are. So that way, because we're not going to send Sue into unfamiliar territory without knowing.
I don't
Although
know.
he's done that, although you've done that on one occasion, I'm assuming.
Well, I don't know what the laws are in Ohio, but I don't think I have to pay child support unless it's my son.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, man, we've been running about 50 minutes, and I hope I got most of, at least the more important comments. And we're going to give Ohio guy a few more seconds to put up who he is, or he'll text Sue, and if he has Sue's
checking
number.
my cell phone too.
Well, while Sue is looking at his ancient phone, Donnie, what do you want to leave us with, bro?
And may you live in interesting times. Is we are definitely doing that. You know, stop and take a breath. If you got people that are politically different from you, even if they're somewhat, reasonable, don't deny yourself, a good friendship with somebody. Just because you disagree politically does not mean you can't be friends with them. It's important that we try to do that, every one of us. I mean, I know it's easy to fall into that. Screw you, blah, blah, blah. Some of these people, the Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. You got to understand, people have been fed this shit for 9 years now straight. Take it with a grain of salt, and maybe things will get, if the economy and everything starts working, I think you're going to see a lot of people eating crow. Some people won't, no matter what. I think you will. That's what I'm going to leave it with. We're all Americans, even though some of us are stupid. You still got to love the stupid. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, Sue, Ohio guy says, never mind. He thought you were somebody else, which I don't know how that could be. You could ever be confused with anybody else other than Sue LaRue. And he says, you seem like a nice guy and you can still come if you want to. So what are you going to leave us with, Sue?
He thought I was Opie Taylor.
He's going to be like Mufasa, holding the baby.
No, I want to remind all of our viewers that this is exactly what we asked for. It's going to get worse before it gets better. All right. With all these tariffs and everything, the prices will probably go up. Okay. The stock market will probably come down. That's a good thing. Interest rates will come back down, and maybe we'll stabilize the real estate market. All right. But I totally agree with Elon Musk and President Trump. If we don't start doing something with this outrageous spending, our children or our grandchildren are going to be bankrupt. There will be no United States of America. This government will collapse. Okay, so you're going to live in times that are going to get rough. I think we got to all tighten up our belts a little bit. Not for our sake, but for the sake of our children and our grandchildren. All right. It's our fault. It's our fault. We didn't stand up enough against this left-wing ideology, this pure Marxism. We should have stood up against it in the streets a long time ago. But unfortunately, most of us had jobs and had bills to pay. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were at work and these other people were taking over everything else. But stand up now. And realize that times are going to get tough, but let it play out. Let it play out. That's what I want to leave everybody with tonight.
Well, thanks, guys, for joining me tonight in this. We ran with it as best we could. I hope Chris doesn't fire me for all the goodness we didn't do tonight. But thanks again, Sue and Donnie, Emery. We wish you could have made it longer. T, we wish you could have made it. Chris, we hope you feel better. And guys, remember, everybody has a birth date and a death date. Let's worry about the dash. Y'all have a good day.
Where Chris says, be good or be good at it, right?
Be good or be good at it. Y'all have a good night.
Love you guys.